up, guys?
Are you guys ready?
Bilal Nichols mentioned that Eddie Goldman's been helping them on the sideline, whether it's saying, hey, great rep, or, clean this up. Have you noticed that, specifically Bilal and then maybe anybody else on the line, him helping on the sidelines?
Yeah, we've tried to get those guys engaged as much as we can, whoever's not out there practicing, and Eddie's another example. Those guys have so much wisdom and information. They see things pretty quickly, and they relate to the guys well. So just trying to create some peer-to-peer accountability and help those guys keep them engaged.
Sean, what was the biggest improvement you saw from week one that you think was not opponent-specific, that will carry over to the next week and the week after that?
Yeah, like I told you guys, our biggest focus is on technique and fundamentals, and making sure we're disciplined with our technique and fundamentals. And I thought we improved that from week one to week two. Was it perfect? No. And I've told you guys it's never going to be perfect, but that's what we're striving for, is to keep improving those technique and fundamentals and play within the scheme, so then when guys have an opportunity to make the plays, they'll take advantage of those.
Is there a good example of a play you made last week that you didn't the previous week because of fundamentals, discipline, that kind of thing?
I would say all of them. All the plays that we made are a result of technique and fundamentals. And usually when you don't make plays in games, there's probably a technique or fundamental breakdown at some point. And sometimes there's bad calls, which I own those as well, and the players know that when that happens. But I think when guys are playing 11 as one, which you saw, I thought, in that game, you see the result that can happen.
I know you've been preaching takeaways the whole time, and you didn't get any in the first game, but then to see so many of them, what was your impression of that? And also, how do you continue that?
Yeah, well, it was great to see a lot of them, and get them in bunches. So I'm really proud of the guys to be able to do that. And I think part of the message is they just got to keep swarming the football.
What do you see?
And over time, the ball will find them, and that's just a function of this league, is that you got to play with good technique and fundamentals and be in your spots when you need to be in your spots. And then when the ball's available to be taken, you go do that. And, quite frankly, Eddie started that train with his break out of the post. That was a great break out of the post, and he tackled at the level of the ball, something that we've been preaching for quite some time here. And then takeaways usually come in bundles. They come in bunches, and it kind of creates a good energy on the sideline for everybody, and that's what happened in that game.
I don't think we've seen a ton of the Mack and Quinn rushing on the same side like we saw on Sunday. What's the key to making that successful, and then obviously balancing out the rest of the defensive front with that?
The key to making anything successful is the players, and them understanding what we're trying to get out of the plan, and then them executing the plan to what we're trying to do. So that's the key to any of the success that we have, is those guys between the lines playing hard and executing the fundamentals that we're trying to teach.
What do you see as the biggest challenges facing that Cleveland offense?
I think they're, for lack of a better word, stacked. They're loaded up front. Their O-line is aggressive and physical. Their running backs run angrily. They're physical backs, downhill backs that can make you miss in space. The quarterback is playing at a really high level. He can extend plays. He's got a cannon for an arm. And they've got the receivers out there that will go make plays as well on the ball. So, and the tight ends, are some of their top targets in the pass game, who are fast and have big catch radiuses. So, all of those are the challenges that we're going to have to rise up to play a good brand of football.
Sean, have you been surprised at all at the way they've been calling the taunting penalties in the first couple of weeks, and what did you think of the call on to Sean?
Yeah, I think you're seeing it. There's a lot of those penalties being called around the league, and that's a point of emphasis for the NFL, and we got to do a better job. I got to do a better job of coaching it and emphasizing with the guys to make sure that the rules have changed a little bit from what they're used to, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to have any self-inflicted penalties that force us to play more downs. When we get a 3 and out or an opportunity to get off the field, we want to take advantage of that opportunity and get our breaks. And so I think the guys understand that, and I got to do a better job of coaching that and making sure the guys understand those rules.
How did you evaluate Duke Shelley coming out of the game and sort of weigh what he was able to get done versus what Marquis did in that role the week prior?
Yeah, I don't really want to get into comparisons, but I think Duke played a solid game, and you saw some of the strengths that he prides himself in with his physicalness and toughness. He made a real good tackle on the run play, fitting in there. So, and he's competitive. So I think I think that was a good sign for him. You know, it's a good start, and then we'll continue to keep competing at that position.
The way that Jalen Johnson is playing, what does that do kind of for you as a play caller when he's kind of locked in on one side and shutting guys down?
You know, not much as a play caller. I mean, I'm really proud of the way he's playing, but we're going to play our defense appropriately, and he's going to accept those hard downs when he's got them, and then when he doesn't, he'll execute those techniques. But I'm really happy with his progress and the confidence that he's growing and building, and he knows the spots that he still needs to improve at, you know, and he's working on those, which is a great thing for a young guy like that.
This defense has filled in pretty well for Eddie Goldman in the past, but there's only one Eddie Goldman, I'm sure you know that. What's the best way to say what his impact is assuming you get him back? For not just for the defense, but, you know, I mean, for the other players, for you as a play caller, what's the impact?
Yeah, I think a lot of the guys feel real confident in Eddie. You know, he's a big physical presence in the middle of the defense. And that becomes a real calming factor for a lot of guys that are around him. You know, to his left and his right, and the guys stacked behind him. And so I think the guys will be looking forward to and I know Eddie's looking forward to getting back.
When you guys went back and watched the Keenum chasing down the receiver on the screen, what did that do for the room? Was that an exciting moment to relive it? And what's it say about a keeper? Did you track that guy down?
Yeah, I see the excitement through your mask. So that you could feel the excitement that it had in the room. You know, anytime we get guys pursuing to the ball is something that we're trying to pride ourselves on, and he's the prime example of that on that play. You know, good things happen when you run to the ball, whether you take the ball away, you deliver big hits, and opponents see that, and opponents can feel that swarm and that energy, and so real proud of Keem to be able to do that.
You said that was stress in the week leading up to the game. Was that not what you wanted in week one?
No, that's what we want every week. That's
It
that.
didn't happen in week one.
Well, it didn't happen because that play didn't happen, and so that's a point of emphasis every week. And it was another bigger point of emphasis because our standard wasn't what it was in week one, and so we're trying to uphold that standard, which is a difficult thing to do, you know. But we embrace that challenge, and we're going to try to keep upholding it and play to the level that we want to play at.
Coach, you've been around this game long enough to know not to overreact to 1 week. That being said, your first game as DC didn't go as anybody had anticipated or hoped for. Was there any added angst on you to bounce back in week 2? And then what did it mean to you for the head coach to give you a game ball?
Was there any added angst? Not really. Not really. Like you said, I've been around the league a long time, and I told you guys after week 1 it was just week 1. You know, we had 16 more opportunities, and you know we took advantage of that opportunity in week 2. And like I told the players on Tuesday, there's still 15 more to go. So we got to flush that out of our system and restart and recalibrate for the Browns, and that's what this league is. You got to be able to win your weekly matchups. And as for the game ball, it's obviously extremely humbling and honor to receive that honor. But and I told Coach this, it's a tribute to the defense. It was all every player on that defense, in my opinion, had earned that and has a piece of that game ball.
You talked about not having. You talked about the presence that Eddie Goldman brings. Not having to start the season with him and Danny Trevathan would be challenging for any coordinator, especially, you know, you in your first year as coordinator. How have you approached dealing with these challenges, shifting the plays around, and, you know, in your own scheming?
Yeah, we've embraced it. I mean, that's this league, right? It's hard to have the same 11 every week, and the teams that do that usually end up playing good. Whether they have it on offense or defense, and so that's hard to do. And I've been a part of experiences like that before, so we embrace the challenge. And our players know that regardless of who's playing in the game or how many reps are getting in the game, the standard is still the standard. And so the expectation is for those guys to try to perform to the best of their ability and meet those standards that we set as a defense.
How would you describe the level that Roquan Smith is playing at right now?
Yeah, I think he's playing at a really high level. You know, I think he's playing really good football right now. And is it perfect? No. But is it ever going to be perfect? No. And does he still have room for improvement? Yes. And so he's playing at a really high level. We want to keep that going. And we want him to improve, and he is improving at the places that we want him to improve on. Coach McGovern, I think, is doing a great job with him in the room, and the guys around the defense are really doing a great job to help him play at that level.
What stands out to you about Chubb and Hunt and what they're able to do?
Everything. I mean, they're physical, and they run angrily and meanly. You know, they run with their shoulders over their toes. They're not afraid to hit the ball downhill, and they can make anybody miss, anybody, from a D lineman to a DB. They can make anybody miss in the hole, and it's going to take a lot of people at one time to get them down.
And even when things weren't going well for this defense, they still got up to face a good runner. They kind of stepped up their game to stop a good running back. Do you notice that effect that this team does when the challenge is there, that they rise to that level against this week against Chubb and Hunt?
Yeah, you hope so. I mean, right? You present the challenges to the defense, and they know where we stand in terms of our keys to victory and what we got to approach and who we got to defend. And you hope that they're going to rise to, and we intend on rising to that challenge and meeting that. And the guys here have responded well over my time in that regard.
Hey, Sean, the interception that Justin threw the other day, as a defensive coach, what would, the linebacker drop back?
Oh.
I know it's not your side of the ball, but I just want to ask you as a defensive coach, what's so tough about like that coverage, that confusion that they're trying to create, and then the play that the linebacker actually made by rushing upfield and dropping back?
Yeah, I think, like I said, it's not my side, and I don't watch it, but I believe that was a cover zero. I think Matt said it was a cover zero. Coach Nagy said it was a cover zero with a pop-out guy, which is hard, right? Because you're anticipating everybody blitzing, then all of a sudden somebody drops out into a low zone who is in your vision as a blitzer. You don't expect that blitzer to drop out late and get one. So that's, I think Coach said it, that's part of this league. And that's going to be part of the growing process. And defensively, that's part of the game they play on that we play on defense, is to try to get some disguises and some shell coverages or some different types of variety where you're dropping people into different zones that are unexpected. And so that was a good job by them.
What do you like about DHC and that versatility he gives you whenever you want to, use him in a dime defense?
Yeah, I think you said the word right there. It's versatility. He's smart. He's tough. He's physical. He understands our brand of football, and he's been here a long time. And so he understands the defense from a big picture perspective. So when you have guys like that and you're building this defense, you allow those versatile players to play in different spots, and he embodies that.
In week one, you faced this outside zone rushing attack with the Rams, and then last week you have the dynamic playmaker Joe Mixon. Now you have this two-headed monster between Hunt and Chubb. Do you see any value in facing three unique rushing threats to start off the year?
I guess it makes you tougher over the course of the season. I mean, the value is that it tests us. Tests our toughness and our will and our resilience, and that's all good. It's going to pay off at some point. We won't know when, but it's going to pay off, and it's going to make us all better. And we got to rise to those challenges, right? Because that's this league. Is every week you're going to have a playmaker that you're facing on the other side, and it's been our cards have been dealt to us where we've got these guys right now, and so we'll accept that challenge, and we're looking forward to it. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys.
How'd Sean do?
Outstanding.
Bill, how unique is a week when you have a guy who's never started an NFL game before on the road? Just in terms of game planning, compared to veteran quarterbacks, just any kind of wrinkles or things that are different when it's somebody like Justin?
Oh, yes. The answer is yes. Things are different. We went through some quarterback change here last year too. Some of it is the same, in that you try from all the accumulated reps of spring and training camp and preseason games to take that information in of what you think best fits that player. Obviously, as you mentioned, the first regular season start makes it a little bit different, but he's played in big games before. I think you all have seen him enough to. I think you would probably bet that he's going to handle it just fine.
Bill, what was he like? Did you guys, this is the first time you've had some film to look at with him? I mean, other than the 5 plays in week 1, but a substantial amount of film to look at with him after the game, kind of go over those corrections. What was Justin like in those meetings and handling all that?
No different than he is at practice. I think one of the things that's been impressive about him from the beginning is that he's willing to be coached, really wants, well, everyone wants to be great, right? But willing to do what it takes. And part of that is being coached and working together with the coaches. And the great thing is the dynamic of the room is still fantastic, in that you got 3 quarterbacks in there who all communicate. They communicate great with Coach Flip. They communicate with the head coach. I mean, they communicate with each other. So I think they're blessed. It's really a fun room to be in. It is, and that part hasn't changed. So I think I don't want to speak for Justin, but I would guess that he'd tell you that those guys are helping him.
Bill, as you come up with a game plan this week, how do you walk the line or the balance between doing what you guys have been doing all year offensively, but also, you know, fine-tuning things to Justin's strengths?
That's a great question, and that is what we're doing, is walking the line, balancing. I think you add in, right, so now you add in, we talked about it last week, how do you develop a game plan? Part of it is what do you do well, part of it is what hurts the team, what their weaknesses are that you want to attack, and part of it is the matchups. Now you add in another layer of changing that who's starting at that position. And so it does add more layers, you know, and we do have decisions to make. But that's our job.
Matt has said a couple of times that you want to make sure that the playbook is manageable for the guys, so we can play fast. There's adjustments so we can play fast. Does that complicate matters too?
Well, the easy answer is to say, well, just shrink it down. Well, he's also proven over time that he can handle a pretty good amount. So if you go to the point where, well, because we have a new starter at this position and he's a rookie, let's shrink it down. If you go too small, you don't have enough bullets in your belt to win the game. So I think we're looking for the right amount, and that doesn't always mean shrink. It just means what's the right amount so that we have the weapons, because none of us know how the game's going to go. So we have to have stuff if we're up by a lot, if it's a close game, if we're down by a lot, make sure you have enough on the sheet. So yeah, it causes a lot of questions to come up, but that's what we do.
Well, with regard to that, Justin is an inexperienced quarterback, but from the Browns' point of view, he's an unknown. How much does this give you an opportunity to use the element of surprise and present things that they have not seen?
It's the old, well, what do you know? Do we know what you know? You have to assume that they're watching all of his plays, right, from the preseason, and
Right.
using that to evaluate what he is, because I'm sure they're smart coaches. So how much do you play off what you are, what you've been in games, in the 2 games so far, and how much do you take that into account? So I think that adds layers to it, but I think it's harder for them than it is for us, because we get to decide what plays we pick to put in the plan, and they've got to figure it out.
That's what I mean. With such a talented quarterback, is that an opportunity? Do you see that as an opportunity?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I wouldn't have used that word, but the way you did, I say, yeah, that's true.
How would you
I realize
assess their defense, especially the pass rush of the Browns?
I think they've got talent, physically talented guys, long guys. You know, they've got guys who are intense. Even some of their backups, you know, we've played in the past, are guys who have high motor and bring it hard. You know, I think when you watch, I mean, we all know who these defensive ends are, and we faced them over the years, and you can make an unbelievable highlight tape of this defensive front. So I think if you had to rank all the issues, and I think we've done a good job evaluating who they are. They've also made, I think, good changes in the secondary, but I think you probably have to start it up front, you know, with how they play and how they can disrupt at the ends, with those defensive ends first and then inside. And, you know, you're going to have to block them, run and pass. So that's I would say that's probably job number 1, looking at this team specifically.
I realize you don't want to go too deep in the scheme here, but just how much of an asset is Justin's mobility and that dual threat? And do you prioritize that when kind of building out the game plan?
Well, I think we've proven in the first 2 games that even as Andy was healthy, that Justin was going to be used, and that's part of what he can do. I think he's also proven that he can do both, stand in the pocket and make throws. I'm picturing a third down where he did to Darnell last week. And then if he doesn't feel good about the throw, he also has a chance to make a play running. So whether it's a designed run, and I'm not going to, like you said, scheme-wise, I'm only talking about things we've shown on game tape, whether it's a designed read or run for him, or whether it's his ability to extend plays, I think there are a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL that can do that and have it be part of the package. So I think we've proven that we recognize it, and it's, I guess, on them to decide how that affects their game plan.
Where is his internal clock in terms of processing his reads, then making that decision to run?
It's hard for me to make an overall statement about it. I think you would, just because of the amount of work he's had and where he is in his development, you could pick out plays that you would feel really good about. You could pick out plays that he'd probably say, yeah, I probably could have just waited a little bit more on this one. Or maybe, it's hard when a guy has the ability to go and make good plays. You don't want to stifle it. There's a balance in there. And at the same time, when one of your guys is running open, you want him to hit him because he can, the way he throws. So that's going to be his development. When you're a talented runner at quarterback, that will always be part of his game, is just finding that balance. I think it's probably fared well for him to this point in his career, right? How he's handled it through college, and he'll keep figuring it out.
So when the defense plays the way they did last week, and they forced the turnovers, and they give you extra possessions, good field position, you would like to win that game by more than 3 points. When you review the tape, what were some of the things that you thought, either situationally or particular plays, that prevented that from being a 20-point victory?
Well, I think probably to answer that question, the most disappointing theme would be when we got the ball in good field position, we didn't score touchdowns. We were I think 1 for 3 in the red zone, right? 2 for 3 the week before. So to not score touchdowns when we got in those spots was the most disappointing. So we dealt with it when we reviewed the tape with the offense. Just coach literally talked about here's what the drives look like, and here were the issues, whether it be penalties, whether it be poor execution, whether I think Coach Nagy does a great job of being honest with them too. Of hey, maybe this wasn't the best situation, but we just went down the whole list. But the big theme, to answer your question, would be not taking advantage. I mean, the momentum. I felt like the momentum, you could feel it in the stadium. It was great to have the crowd. It really was. And even in the booth, you could feel it when the defense started playing like they were playing. And so even though it will be in Cleveland this week, if we get that momentum on the field again, our job is to take advantage of it and keep it going.
Bill, we've talked to you and Matt for months now about Justin's composure and about how it doesn't seem too big for him. I know kind of psychologically that's probably very reassuring for you, but from a practical matter, having somebody who doesn't appear to get nervous or flinch, how much does that make game prep easier? Does that make conversations with him on the sideline easier? Are there things about that portend toward success?
I think there's nothing wrong with being excited and and showing positive emotion with your team, but no one wants to see knees shaking. That would be more. So it's one of those things where when it's not a problem, you're good and you can move forward. When it's a problem, it's a problem, and it hasn't been a problem with Justin. I mean, he's handled good and bad, and I'm not on the sideline with him, so I can't see the face, but you certainly can see his body language and the energy he brings, and I think it's only going to get better. No, it's to me it's hard to go up and down. It's a long season. A lot of things can happen in the games. As you know, NFL games tend to be so close, right? Even in that game, it felt like we had that growing momentum, and we all wish we'd pulled away. The next thing you know, it's starting to become a close game again, right? I mean, that's just how NFL games go. So guys who are way up and down emotionally, they can tip over the edge sometimes and make some bigger errors. I think guys like Justin, who so far have shown to be kind of flatliners and control their emotions and steady, I think in the long haul are going to be more successful.
Did you ever coach anybody who was like outwardly nervous?
Sure. Made me nervous.
Back to his mobility, when you have a quarterback that's as fast as he is, do the rules on zone reads change at all in terms of keeping it? Because it seems like sometimes he probably makes the right decision to hand it off, but you're also like, man, there's a lot of space over there. He could probably beat the guy to the edge.
I think that's part of the game he has to play, knowing who the people are on the edge. Every rep he gets, maybe in a game, and he watches that defender, and maybe he handed it off and thought, now I see how he reacted. If you come in and get if you run it one time, you make a decision and you go. If you run it a couple times in the game, now you have a chance to kind of gather information as you go. Same thing as, let's say you hand the ball off and you run a bootleg after you hand the ball off. Part of what the quarterback does is gather the information. Hey, after I handed it off and ran the bootleg, just take a little, I'm selling that I have the ball, but take a peek. What did it look like? I think I had that edge. I think next time we can do it. So I think it's the same thing. As you play the game, you gather information. I think the great ones, same thing with coverage. You gather the information. I threw the ball to the back in the flat, and man, he broke on it fast. Next time I can probably look there, get him leaning, and go over his head. So I think in the zone read game, it's probably similar.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bill.
adjustment period, trying to just getting used to Justin's ball. Last year, you had some near misses on plays, could have been big plays, touchdowns, and maybe you kind of adjust how you respond to the ball in the air based off some of those throws. And then this week, you got a guy put it out in front of you, barely goes off the tips like that. Is that just part of an adjustment from playing with different quarterbacks and trying to adjust to where you think the ball's going to be?
For sure. It's different. Both of them throw the ball differently. Justin likes to lay it over top of you a little bit, and he likes to put it on you sometimes. So it's just understanding who's in and understanding the chemistry we have with the quarterback. So we were able to get some work in yesterday, so it was all good.
Comparison between those two guys, or even going back to last year when you had like Mitch and Nick, where you had to go up and make some plays on like jump balls. How do you prefer the ball to be?
Honestly, it doesn't matter. If the ball hit my hand, I got to catch it regardless. It's all good. Wherever it's at, I'm good with it.
After the game, I had a conversation with you about your own perspective on your play. You said you felt that you didn't perform your best. Having had a chance to watch the film, do you still feel the same way about your performance?
Every week, I'm always going to be unsatisfied of how I played. We got the win. That's all I care about, honestly. But my individual play, I'm always going to be unsatisfied of how I play, though.
Receiver to receiver, what do you admire the most about OBJ?
He started from like his rookie year to like now. He's been balling from since he started the league. But I've been watching him from a long time. He was from LSU, so I was able to see him. See like the people from in New Orleans and the high school he went to in Newman. So I've been watching him for a long time. He's definitely a top receiver in the league. He's been that for a long time, and he made his name known from the day he got in. So.
Darnell, we hear so much about Justin's poise. How does that show up in a game or just on a daily basis? How do you see that?
He's always calm. Like I said, like I said last week, he's always calm and collected, and he's just wanting to make the play and get a dub for the team. So it's showing. It's been showing on the field, it's showing off the field as well in practice, and then with him getting a lot of reps this week, it's showing as well. So.
Justin's ability to extend a play into, pass, just going through those initial reads and scramble out. As a receiver and targets as a whole, what do you need to do to respond to that?
Make sure you're running when he runs. So make sure if he's running out the pocket, the play isn't over. He can definitely will throw you the ball deep, just from looking at his college plays and just him doing it in practice as well. So you just got to be on the radar.
I was gonna say, is that an emphasis this week?
For sure. Yeah. If he's running outside the pocket, you better be running too. So
when he's running around like crazy, do you play the Tyreek Hill role and are wide open in the corner of the end zone? Is that how you see it?
Like I said, if he's running, you better run deep because he wants to throw the ball deep. So.
Colton Met said that he's actually, you joked, I think, that he was going to be running sprints after practice to make sure he got his wind up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll be doing the same thing.
Appreciate you guys.
How nice is it to get a sack on a Wednesday?
Well, you gotta, still kind of interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I guess it's how the league works, you know. It looks like they'll take it away, and all of a sudden they go back, review it, and they give it back. It's just the funny rules of the league. But again, I'll take it.
You know, sacks aren't the be-all, end-all, and there's a lot more that shows how you play, but given last year, and now you've already surpassed your total, how rewarding and satisfying is that for you right now?
Not much at all. I mean, 2 sacks, and you shouldn't be too happy about that. So, I mean, I think I got a lot more work to do, and we got a lot more games left anyway. So, I mean, I guess it's a good starting point, but I don't want to, you know, get too comfortable. Still got to prove yourself, you know, practice in on the game day.
You got the one on Sunday where you're lining up on the same side as Mac. What's the mindset, or what do you two say to each other as you're kind of lining up side by side and getting after the quarterback together like that?
Basically, who's race to who can get there first. I mean, of course, you know, whatever side Mac's on, they're going to look to double or triple team him. So, and you know, you put us both to the same side. It's pick your poison, and they were worried about 52, like expected, and you know, we were able to work, you know, good rushes, and I was able to get there on one. So, you know, again, having 52, it allows, you know, gives you a little bit more freedom because you know, offenses are very concerned about him.
Did you say something to him before that snap, or does he say something to you?
Who knows? I mean, we're just out there kind of playing. Yeah, I don't know. Just, you know, let 52 go and, you know, work off him.
You've told us in here before that you feel that you're in a very good space mentally. How would you kind of assess how you've performed physically on the field in the first 2 games of the season so far? Are you happy with what you've done so far and want to build on that?
I mean, I go back and forth. There's good plays, there's bad plays. For me, look at the good plays, kind of move on. It's the bad ones where I kind of coach myself harder. Because it could be the 1 or 2 plays you mess up that, you know, cost the game. So, yeah, I take my good plays, but it's, you know, it's more correcting my bad ones to make sure that it doesn't affect the team down the road.
What are some of the biggest challenges that this Cleveland offense presents to you all as a defense?
Well, you know, everyone says to start with the you know, the 2-headed monster in the backfield with Chubbs and Hunt. Of course, Chubbs don't ever seem to go down with one hit, and you know, Hunt is a very versatile back. They got a mobile quarterback. I know the receiver situation is a little up in the air right now, but you know, those guys are top dogs out there. So if they do go, that's another challenge. But I mean, they got skills, you know, skills. Even at the tight end position, they're very talented. So, I mean, again, it's just about doing our 111. I mean, whatever the coach call. If you got coverage, make sure your man don't catch it. If you got a rush, make sure you get it to the quarterback and stop the run if they decide to run your way. The good thing about playing defense is you don't have to make it too complicated to be great.
If Eddie Goldman's able to return this week, how does that help you personally come off the end?
Well, you know, since I got here, all I heard was good things about Eddie G. Taking on double, triple teams and still knocking that back in the backfield. So, I mean, you know, you put up the whole line, you know, who you want to double team? Khalil, Eddie, Akeem, Bilal, me. Like, you got to pick your poison. And, you know, and again, just from that standpoint alone, knowing Eddie can, well, from what I see, can handle the run by itself, and, you know, which creates longer down the distances. So I think it's just going to be overall just a great, you know, great thing for the team, you know, because as again, I'm a newer guy here, and like I said, all I heard was good things. So I'm just ready to see him get active out there.
Appreciate it.
Eddie Jackson.